Y'all hear the wind whistling? Good lord. Anyway, ops. Am I right? God, please let me lock in. I'm trying. Let me lock in. Okay. Hello, and welcome to Grayscale. Energy vampires suck. Literally. They do one thing and one thing alone. They drain the life force energy out of your living soul. All they know how to do, all they are equipped to do, is literally take out all of that life force energy that is within you out of your living body and soul. That's basically what they are. That's basically what they are, okay? It's a lot worse than you might think, to be quite honest with you. Also known as a psychic vampire. The term can also be used to describe a person who gets increased energy around other people but leaves those other people exhausted or drained of energy. It's a colloquial term for a person who leaves others feeling emotionally and mentally depleted. If you've ever seen the show What We Do in the Shadows, it's about a bunch of vampires and, they're doing vampire shenanigans, but there's also like an energy vampire character on the show who the other vampires themselves hate because he literally drains the life out of those vampires. It was a funny joke. It's a funny bit. So anyway, even if you haven't seen the show, if you've heard the term but you're not really sure what it means, that's basically what it is. You feel depleted, you feel sluggish, you feel sad, you feel bored, you feel just like unlike yourself. You know what I mean? It's just like something's literally taken away from you, and they're siphoning your energy. They're zapping you of your like livelihood, and they're taking it for themselves. Because I've been dealing with this in my own life for so many years now. It only recently struck me that like this shit is way worse than I thought it was, and so we got to get into it. Okay. Point number one: they need way more than you think they do. Not only are they draining you and siphoning you of your personal energy, of like your excitement in life, of your passions, of things that make you happy, of like your drive, your ambition, they drain you of your time. They drain you of like always just needing things from you, needing your help, needing your advice, needing your encouragement, needing you to engage in arguments with them for no good reason other than the fact that they know that you're going to get invested in this argument and end up, feeling some kind of way about it emotionally, and that way they can just like drain you out of that and pull that out from you. And they just always want things done from you by you. Like they seem on the surface incapable of doing things on their own or getting things done. It's so much easier, it's so much more convenient to just ask you to do it so that you can spend your time and your energy pouring into this thing for them, so they don't have to do or put in any kind of effort. They can just get that thing that they're asking from you and then have you do all the work so they save all their energy too. It's crazy. It's kind of insane. Like for example, you might have like someone in your life that asking you to like go get the mail for them or something. I don't know. Maybe you have like a fucking stingy ass neighbor. I don't know. Like instead of it being like an act of kindness or something that you do for someone that you care about, or just trying to be a good person, trying to be a good Samaritan and help someone out, it ends up becoming almost like this kind of daily ritual, because instead of it being like, again, doing something for someone out of kindness or out of goodwill, it's kind of like they end up putting you in a position where it becomes like obligatory or mandatory in a way that doesn't feel right to you. Just think of a narcissist, really. Narcissists are like energy vampires. They're energy vampire 101. Okay, and there are so many narcissists flying around this bitch, you have no idea. I know people throw that term around a lot, but I feel like people don't understand that like there are so many. The amount of narcissists that are actually like existing and just like doing this narcissistic shit is just too common now. You know what I'm saying? So we're not just like labeling everybody a narcissist because it's just fun to throw it around. Like genuinely there are so many people who exhibit that type of behavior and need to get fucking mental help. But we're not here to judge nobody. I'm just here to talk about energy vampires, and if you got one and how to deal with it, or how to at least identify it, or let you know. I don't know, something. But anyway, let me continue. They siphon you of your time. Something that they could do so easily on their own, that they just parse onto you just because they can. They know that like in the situation of like, again, maybe someone asking you to go get their mail for them. It's like, if you know this person can just go and do it, and they're right near the mailbox too, but they consistently ask you, or like maybe let's say one day you come home and your arms are full of groceries or boxes or I don't know, something, and they're like, hey, can you go get the mail for me please? Like, standing at the door asking you to do it when they could fully go do it themselves, like things like that. Like that's energy vampire shit, bro. Because why are you asking me to do it, expend my energy when you want to be the one saving on yours? That doesn't make sense. Then you know what I'm saying? It's energy exploitation, okay? They're doing some fuck shit. You got to understand. Not only is it your energy and your time, they like stealing your attention too. Now, this is a loaded topic. It's a bigger topic, low key, because so much of social media and the way that it's marketed and strategized against you to literally ruin your life is literally about stealing your attention. So in a way, social media, or at least the people who run it, and not even the people who run it, because I know that a lot of people who work at these jobs, like they're just trying to make a living, right? Low key, you have to there's a nuance to everything. But the billionaires, obviously the billionaires who run these companies and are pushing these algorithms forward that are designed to just keep stealing away your attention, that's energy vampire shit, bro. Because why are you after me and what I do? Be so for real. Ugh, that circulation issue. But they try to steal your attention too. Like they will do little tiny little shit that they know is going to irk you and get on your nerves so that they can get a reaction out of you. You know what I'm saying? They can do something to provoke you into an argument, into a situation where things get heated or you get upset, because essentially if they are instilling or infusing you essentially with negative energy, they're doing their job. Life force is supposed to be a lively, positive, uplifting sort of thing. So if you're negative and you feel filled with more negative energy than anything, again, they're doing their job. But like it could be something as simple as like, okay, let's say like a lot of people don't like the sound of like nails on a chalkboard or something. Like let's say not that people have chalkboards laying around their houses anymore, bitches. I know everybody has a fucking iPad or an iPhone or a fucking Google Pixel, I don't know. But like let's say in this hypothetical situation, like you hate the sound of hearing nails on a chalkboard, and you live with someone or know someone, or you're in an environment where there is a chalkboard present and this energy vampire is there with you, and they know that you probably would hate this sound or are actively aware that you hate the sound and would not like it if they made the sound. And then they do that. They put the nails on the chalkboard, they make that screeching ugly ass sound, and they're provoking you because they know that like that's going to grab your attention and that's going to fill you with overwhelm and dread and negativity because you hate hearing that sound. And that's just like one little piece of it, one little part of it. They could even take it a step further and again provoke you into an argument where they know you're going to be like, hey, like I told you a million times not to make that sound, why are you making that sound? Or even a little small interaction, even if it's like the first or the second, or how many ever times you guys have been around each other, that they know that you're going to be like coming to them even in a positive way or in a respectful way, like, hey, I don't really like hearing that sound, can you not do that again in the future? Like those little things, they know that that's going to happen. They know that that's going to happen, and they do that so they can get that energy out of you, and they know what triggers you. They know what buttons to push so that they can, again, drain you of your energy easier and easier every single time. Now, I want everybody to understand that these standalone situations on their own does not make a person an energy vampire, or does not necessarily mean you are dealing with energy vampires as is. Like sometimes people are just clueless, or they're just not paying attention, or just people are just being people. Like not everybody's a bad person. You don't have to take it that way all the time, especially in this situation of like getting someone their mail or hearing the nails on the chalkboard. Like if those are things that happen and like you end up feeling like, oh, I don't really want to do this, or I don't really like this, or oh, I wish they didn't make that sound, like it could just be a one-off thing. Every situation needs to be judged on its own. But if you find that you are dealing in these type of situations or other situations where constantly you feel your energy kind of draining away and wasting away again and again, then you have an energy vampire on your hands, and you need to be aware of that. Again, using nuance and a wider understanding, you can have had past experiences with people, you know, from way back in the day, and realize, oh, okay, I didn't feel great with this person, or I didn't really even like this person. And then like you go into a new job, a new career, you're starting school, you're going to a class, and you can like kind of feel intuitively like, oh, I don't really like this person, or I don't like this energy I'm getting, or this energy that I'm feeling, because it feels like this person is trying to like siphon something out of me. Then yeah, again, those are red flags. You got to pay attention to those. You can use past information to inform your future, but you also have to hold enough space to be like, hey, maybe this person is just a little dingus and he doesn't know what he's doing in this moment. You know what I mean? You have to be aware. A lot of this is like based upon knowing yourself. So if you have in the past, again, kind of dealt with this and these type of energy vampires before, like you gotta be on the lookout for that. You gotta know that like I have to individually know what my triggers are, what my points are, where my buttons are located, in order to like figure out if like this is a good person I should kind of hang around, or if this is a person I should kind of just lay low from, not really interact with, or just kind of keep it surface level. This is my job, this is my work, this is person I see at class. I don't know, whatever. You have to use your intuition, and you have to use logical reasoning and kind of get to it before you kind of jump to conclusions and be like, oh my god, that's a narcissist, I'm dealing with a narcissist. Like, guys, please, nuance, understanding, logical reasoning, thinking. Please use this up here. Please, we're losing it. Point number 3 of point number 1, because I'm rambling a little bit. Energy vampires always need something when you least expect it. Always. I am telling you consistently, this has happened to me so many times. I give people the benefit of the doubt and then some, and then I'm like, okay, their energy doesn't make me feel good. It feels weird. I feel like I'm drained, whatever, right? And then like some time will go by and I'm like, okay, I think we've established some boundaries, or this energy vampire is like left me alone. I can just chill for the night. I'm good. And then out of the motherfucking blue, here they go popping up on my door again. And they're like, hey, actually, I need this thing. Can you do this thing for me? I kind of need this from you. And it always pisses me off, which is, I know what they want. But it's kind of like, girl, like, this was me time. This was self-care Saturday. Why are you at my doorstep asking me for bullshit, right? I don't know how. I'm telling you, it really is one of those unseen type shit. Energy and like intuition and all that stuff. Like, it is like something you just kind of have to be on that level with to really understand, like, this is how this shit works. And that's why I feel like energy vampires are so good at just like knowing when the right time is to piss you off, when they know that if they come back you'll be more likely to like throw them a bone or something. They just know it. I'm telling you, they're so good at it. Like, they know, they can feel intuitively on their end when you have some free time, or when you have like a little bit more energy, a little bit more pep in your step. They just know when to be there and be like, okay, it's time. I need to get recharged. I need my blood fill right now. They just know it. They're really good at that. So be aware of that shit. Point number 2, which is, I mean, we've kind of been talking about it, but this is how I listed it out, so we're just going in order, okay? They are literally there to suck the life out of you. Don't get it twisted. Do not get it mistaken. It is literally quite that simple. Energy vampire. That is what they do. It's not someone who is down on their luck and having a hard time in life, and they need some guidance, they need some support, they need a friend. People have that, right? Everybody has their bad days. Not everybody's perfect. Shit is gonna happen, right? But I'm telling you, there are certain people who will embody all those traits and still be a shit person that wants to take the life energy out of you. That is just what they do. That is just what an energy vampire is. No joke. They like taking away your energy. They know that it's easier to do that than it is to fix their bullshit, than to go out and solve their own problems, to fix their life, to see where they're lacking, and to, take the appropriate steps to actually make a change in their world. They know that it's so much easier just to show up to you and have you do shit, or argue with you, or just like be around you and be in your presence, knowing that you don't really fuck with them. They can siphon energy out of you because you're a good person and you're easy to deal with, in the sense that like you're gonna be willing to give your energy away, especially if you've done it before, or if you've been someone who has dealt with energy vampires before and is now like recovering, or you just had experience with them. Like, energy vampires they see a quote unquote easy target because they're shitty people and they know exactly who to exploit and what to exploit from them. You know what I'm saying? They like feeding off of your energy because essentially what they're trying to establish is a parasitic relationship. You might be like, Kara, what's parasitism? What's symbiosis? Don't worry, I got you. Symbiosis is basically a close long-term relationship between two different species. Now, there are different kinds of these symbiotic relationships. There's mutualism, there's commensalism, and there's parasitism. Mutualism is where both species benefit from this close long-term relationship. For example, here we have like when bees pollinate flowers and the flowers get the nectar in return, or a clownfish and a sea anemone. A sea anemone provides a home for a clownfish, and the clownfish, in return for that home, cleans the sea anemone. That's mutualistic. I forgot to film this part. That's crazy. Shout out to animator Kara for doing this part. Okay, all right, back to me. Examples of commensalism. The one that I always think of is the relationship between whales and barnacles. Barnacles essentially kind of like clamp onto the whale, and they're benefiting from that relationship. They're hitching a ride on the whale, essentially, and they're using the whales to kind of get to new feeding grounds. In some cases, it can be a little extreme where like the whales do end up like getting like a skin infection or something. But generally, this is an example of commensalism because the barnacles are benefiting in the situation while the whales are typically unharmed. The third of these relationships is parasitism, which is where one species is benefiting, but the other species is actively being harmed in this process. So, common example would be a mosquito biting its prey, whichever animal it's choosing to draw blood from. In this example, the mosquito is the one that is benefiting from this, but the animal that has its blood drawn essentially isn't, because it could be infected with malaria or any other diseases that mosquitoes do carry. I don't know if they do. I only know about malaria. So basically, energy vampires are parasites because in that relationship that they are establishing with you or trying to establish, they're benefiting by drawing the life force energy out of you like a fucking mosquito would, and you're not benefiting because you're losing life force energy. You're being drained of yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? And they do that because they like that. That for them it's beneficial. So why would they stop? You know what I mean? Piggybacking off of that, point two is not necessarily anything different. It's really kind of just to hit the nail home, to hammer the nail home. Right. They're doing it on purpose. I feel like I want to emphasize this part a little bit more because energy vampires aren't necessarily strangers. They're more likely than not people that you know and interact with every single day. They're your family, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, your partner or your spouse could potentially be an energy vampire, depending on how you feel when you're with them and how drained you are or become when you're around them. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes people don't want to admit to themselves that, oh, this person, these people are bad for me because they've been in your life so long, or you're related to them by blood, or you love them, or you're, whatever may be the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to sometimes kind of sit with that reality and sit with that fact, especially if they've been in your life for so long and you love them for, X, Y, and Z reasons. But they are doing it on purpose. If you have an inkling that your cousin is not a good person, and every time you're around them, you're like, man, I kind of fucking hate myself. That could be an energy vampire. You gotta look at the signs. You gotta look at the signs. You gotta analyze that shit. If you're like around your mom, a lot of times your mother could be an energy vampire. Good lord, sometimes that is how it is. Let's be real. A lot of the unks are energy vampires. Okay. Your best friend could be an energy vampire if they're always shitting on your achievements. They're preying on your downfall. They want to talk bad about you when you look good and you feel good and you want to, hit the town and you're looking like a dime piece. And then like, actually, you're like the ugliest bitch I've ever seen in my life. That's an energy vampire. Be so for real about it. I think coworkers and like your boss sometimes are like easier to spot or identify because a lot of people hate their jobs and you can tell that like your life force energy is draining if you're at like a job that you really hate and you just can't stand these people. But if it's with your family or with your friends or even with your loved ones, like your significant other, like sometimes it's hard to be like, oh man, maybe this person kind of sucks and I need to X them out of my life. Sometimes your biggest supporter, sometimes the person that should be your biggest supporter, it really isn't. They are or could be narcissistic, and if they are most likely an energy vampire. So I just want to let you know they are doing that shit on purpose, okay? It's not everybody. Again, you got to use nuance. Some people are misinformed, ill-informed, they're not educated. They could be struggling with addiction or homelessness or, a lot of different life problems, which is why you shouldn't, be be so quick to be like, man, this person sucks. But it does not give them an excuse to have access to your energy and to just take it and siphon it as they choose, as they please. Really, you have to understand that like your energy is your own. Your energy is your own, and if you want to enjoy your life and you want to be a happy-go-lucky person, but every time you come into the room with your bitch ass aunt and she wants to take that shit from you, you gotta stop hanging out with your aunt. You gotta be so for real, buddy. Sorry, I was gonna say you have to be so for real about it and so for real, buddy, and I kind of squish them together. But you gotta be so for real about it, buddy. You really. We only have this one life to live. You cannot be fucking around with energy vampires who just want to literally suck the fucking blood out of you and be like, oh my god, so much better. And you just continue to hang around with them. That doesn't do nothing for you, baby. Come on, be for real. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but energy vampires know who to prey on. They know who to target. They're usually after people who are empathic, who are, you know, a little bit more sensitive. They are a bit more emotional. They're after neurodivergent people, and it's sad that people do that, but there are people who will do that. And they're after people pleasers. They're after people who they know are going to do things for them, who are going to give them exactly what they're looking for without having to do anything in return for them, because they are quote unquote easy prey for them, and they are easy to manipulate in that sense, easy to draw and drain the energy out of. And so the big tomato out of all of this, yes, I wrote that down. Energy vampires are energies in and of themselves. They have mastered the art of siphoning other people of their own energy. They are skilled magicians at taking away what belongs to others, what belongs to you, what is yours, okay? I hope that doesn't confuse anybody when I say energy vampires are energies. Like, you yourself are an energy. It's just different. It's just different because you hopefully are not being a parasitic bitch who wants to hurt other people and harm them of their own God-given right. But anyway, But energy vampires are energies that feed off of your implicit consent. Now, sometimes your consent can be explicit, which essentially means that you are giving your consent verbally, physically. You are agreeing to it in some way that both of you have agreed that you are aware of. And implicit means that you are kind of doing it under the guise of like you're not fully out there saying yes, you're not fully out there saying no. You're kind of just allowing it to happen. You're kind of letting yourself consent in a way that is not very straightforward and to the point. Does that make sense? That's essentially what explicit is versus implicit. You know what I'm saying? One is like you're very forward about it. The other one is like, oh, okay, like it's a maybe, but I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. Like it's harder to kind of pinpoint, kind of, you know what I mean? You have to, yeah. But that is the thing. They are energies that feed off of your implicit consent, because more than likely, time after time after you deal with these kinds of people, you stop agreeing to it outright. You're not like, yeah, I'll go get the mail for you, friend, or yeah, grandma, yeah, I'm cool to hang out with you this weekend. At some point, you're kind of just like, yeah, whatever. Again, this isn't like a hard and fast rule. Sometimes you are explicitly consenting to it because you have fallen into that pattern of feeling like, okay, I have to say yes to this person. That's essentially what I mean, is like, you are not doing it from a place of like, oh yeah, I really want to hang out with this person. I really want to spend time with this person. I feel good about spending time with this person. Hell yeah, I'll go get the fucking mail. Hell yeah, I'll go help them, pick up their groceries or look after their dog or hang out with them on a weekend. Like, it stops becoming something you want to do and something that you enjoy and something that you kind of force yourself to do because of a long-standing relationship or an obligation or this, societal sort of understanding like, oh, I have to do this in order to be a good person. That is kind of what it comes down to, because like I said before, they prey on people who are kind-hearted, who are kind-natured, and so they kind of know at some point, if they can do it right, if they can maneuver it right, they won't need you to say yes. Like, especially if this is at a job, like, and you have to say yes to your boss, like, yes boss, I am going to do this. You can't say no because you might lose your job, right? That's what I mean. Like, that's I feel like is the difference between explicit and implicit consent in my mind in the situation, is that like sometimes you feel like you cannot say no. If you say no, you know that it's going to be a problem. They don't really care about you, is what I'm trying to say. Because if they cared about you, they would care about whether you consent or whether you don't consent. They're like, okay, this person doesn't want to help me, or this person doesn't want to see me this weekend. I'm not going to guilt them into coming here, or I'm not going to guilt them into feeling like a bad person. I'm just going to let them do their thing and let them rock, right? And again, nuance in these situations, but they don't care about you, because if they cared about you enough, they wouldn't be stealing your energy in the first place. And let's say you are brave enough to say no, or you are someone that is actively setting boundaries or beginning to set your boundaries. They're not going to like that you say no to them, because no means that they don't get that direct access to you as they want, in the way that they want, or as easily as they want it. Because like, let's say they're going to start an argument, right? That means now they have to kind of put something forward to get this thing from you. Do you know what I mean? They essentially just want like an easy target, like is what I'm saying. The easier the job is for them to just get someone else's energy, they're gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? And if they think that they're gonna get your energy by, you know, starting a fight with you, some people might do that. And so the even bigger tomato, yes, I'm swatching them. I'm flip-flopping them because we already said whatever. The even bigger tomato, the real pickle of the deal is, we live in a society that thrives off of people not saying no. They thrive when you do not consent. And those shitty people know that if you start to say no, and if you don't like what they do, they don't get what they want. And so those types of people and those types of energies, those energy vampires, they like it better if you don't consent, if you don't tell them no. They like it when things are ambiguous and they can get away with stealing shit from you, and they can get away with hurting you, they can get away with harming you. If you don't give your explicit yes, no, the way that you choose to do so and the way that you see fit, it's easy money for them. It's free bills, bro. It's free bills. The world that we live in likes it so much better if you don't talk back, if you don't speak your truth, if you don't use your voice when you want to be heard. People like that think there needs to be a top dog and a bottom dog, or maybe a top dog and an underdog. In their world, there needs to be a head honcho. They're the pimp and you're the hoe. And in a world like that, in this last point, I want to like just talk about, because I didn't touch on this before, that it doesn't have to be just physical actions. You know, sometimes people ask you to do things, getting the mail, watching their dog, you know, driving their car to go get fixed or something for an afternoon. I don't know. Because energy can take so many different forms. It's not just physical. It can be mental. It can be spiritual, right? Like energy is all different types of ways, all different types of forms. And in one way or another, they all interlink. Sorry, I don't know. I was thinking about that. They all are interconnected. And so they all, you know, go back into one another. They feed into one another. A lot of times, like, this energy vampire thing is emotional because they want to guilt trip you. They want you to feel shame. They want you to feel bad about yourself for not helping and not being kind and not giving to them. It doesn't have to just be something that someone tells you to do. It is also in these other sorts of ways where, like, mentally you end up being someone who ruminates on this person or on this experience you had with them because of the way that they talk to you, the way that they treated you. It's not just like direct, you know, physical, here, I need you to do hands-on labor for me type of energy. Sometimes people literally siphon your energy by giving you horrible things to think about yourself and about how you interact with them or how you interact with the world, or making you feel like you're a bad, horrible person, or, you know, not good enough, or not smart enough, or not kind enough, not loving enough. You know what I mean? Emotionally getting you stuck, spiritually draining you of that energy of like, man, I feel alive. I want to do things. I want to create things. I want to be someone. I want to be a person instead of being someone who is always just giving to others and feeling like people only need things from me. So that is essentially my video on energy vampires and why they are fucking horrible. And I really hope that you guys maybe got something out of this if you didn't know all of this stuff before, or like maybe you're seeing it in a different light. I don't know. But essentially, I just wanted to talk about this because it was crazy to me. I've heard energy vampires as a term before, and I knew about it vaguely, and I kind of felt like, you know, I had certain people in my life that embodied that. But when I thought about the fact that this really just ties back into whether or not I consent, and how these energies like to prey on people or off of people who don't explicitly consent in these situations. Like, I just thought that was so crazy that, like, no wonder so many energy vampires feel like they have access to me and access to my energy and what I do and who I am, because they have felt like if I don't stand up and say something for myself, that they can do and say as they please. And I think the idea of consent is so fucking powerful, so powerful. And I feel like people don't realize just how far that idea goes and how powerful that is, and how important it is to strengthen that ability, to strengthen that act, and to realize that that is a power that you own, and you should be able to consent. You should be able to say yes or no whenever you want to, because it is your life, it is your body, it is your consent, it is your energy that you have access to. No one should be able to tell you or make you do anything you don't want to fucking do. And you shouldn't have to be in those situations where you feel like, oh my God, I feel gross about myself because I had to do this thing. Like, that's a horrible way to live and a horrible way to feel like you have to live. And I feel like it's important for people to understand that there is power in remembering that you can consent. You can consent, and you can say yes and you can say no whenever you like. And it's important to speak up and use your voice. Use your voice to say what it is you want and how you feel, and to remember to practice that every day. I truly feel like whatever we are, or whatever it is that we humans are made up of, like, consenting is a right that we have. It is a right that we should have. It is a right that we are born with, and I don't feel like it is anyone else's place to take that away from us. And I feel like in this context specifically of energy vampires and people siphoning your energy, like, you have to understand that, like, energy is something that belongs to you. You are in charge of your own life, your own body, your own mind. You should be able to, consent where it is you want to and where it is you don't. That is just how that works. And I feel like you should be able to identify those people in your life who aren't so good for you and aren't, making you feel good in life. Because like I said, and as we all know, life is so short and you only have one, and you really have to make the most of what you have. You know what I'm saying? I honestly don't even think it matters. If you had unlimited lives, if you had 9 lives, if you're a fucking cat and you're watching this video, hey, shout out, meow meow. I just feel like our choice is so important, and you should be able to choose. You should be able to choose what you want to do with your life and who you want to hang out with, and you should be able to consent to those people that you hang out with. Whether or not it's just a hangout, it's emotional, it's romantic, it's platonic, it's sexual, I don't know, I don't care. But girl, you should be able to say yes when you want to say yes, and no when you want to say no. And let's leave it there. God. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Okay. See you all later. No, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, I really appreciate it. I'm back on YouTube. I'm really, fingers crossed, praying to God it stays that way. I really did miss making videos, and it feels good to come back and make one. And I actually really liked this topic, and I was really excited to make a video script and have an outline that I got to speak with you guys about. I got this new mic that I'm really excited about, which I think is really cool. Please pray for me. Please pray that the energy vampires don't get to me, because I'm trying to make more videos. I really miss this thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Shout out to my followers. I love all I love all 28 of you. And you guys mean so much to me. I really hope you guys have a great day. Be kind to yourself. It's hard out there. Stay hydrated. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Am I gonna do the outro? I'm gonna do the outro, like a secret outro if you watch all the way to the end. Don't just feel blue. Don't just feel gray. Remember, there's a whole world of color out there to experience. And you are a star on every spectrum. Peace. I think that was my outro. Did I get it wrong again? It's blue and then gray, right? Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me, please. Where is my outro? I don't even have it pinned. Why don't I have it pinned? What the frig? Oh, I do have it pinned. Girl. Don't just feel blue, don't just feel gray. I think that's what I said. Okay, I think that's what I said. I don't know. All right, peace.